Alright, you guys, welcome back into another One Piece video. So, you guys know the drill. I love polls. I love polls so much that if I was a woman, I'd be a stripper. Wait, different polls. I like One Piece polls, mainly because I am just one guy. You know, I have my own opinions, but of course, I am alas a drop in the bucket. You know, there are millions and millions of One Piece fans out there. So, you know, I'm in an echo chamber with me, myself, and I. So I do like to hold polls in regards to chapters and One Piece and stuff in general, just to see what the general public thinks about things. And today, we're here to go through the polls that I held on this channel to see what people think about these questions. I was about to say the recent chapter, but they're not all tied to the recent chapter. It's kind of willy-nilly, I will admit. So, first poll right here is asking a pretty hefty question, a question or theory that a lot of people have been talking about, and that is about Tritoma, or Toritoma. I think it's actually Tritoma, that's what everybody's been saying, but Toritoma is what the SBS said initially, but that could just be a bad translation. But yes, Tritoma, is she actually Luffy's mother? So just in case you guys have not read the latest chapter, which shame on you, you probably should, if you're watching this video at least, she is the little girl who was introduced in 1156. She is the future Empress of Amazon Lily. She's dead. She died due to lovesickness. So I asked, is this her? Is this Luffy's mom? Personally, just to get my own thoughts out there already, I do not think it's Luffy's mom. Because in my eyes, if this was Luffy's mom, then why did she die due to lovesickness? And why didn't she go live with Luffy? I feel like there's just a couple of things I'm really hung up on. And while in the manga, she has the black hair, we don't know if it's actually black. You know, people are seeing this and like, oh, black hair, it's her. But it's like, wait a minute. We've seen a lot of times in One Piece where we see this. And then we get the volume cover, we get the anime, and it's like, oh, that right there, that's purple, you know? So I'm not too sure yet. I am personally of the belief that we will get Luffy's mom whenever we get the dragon flashback, but until then, we're just not gonna see it. And I do love, I say this unironically, but I do like how whenever we meet a new woman who fits the age range of what Luffy's mom should be, it's like, whoa, it's her, you know, like automatically it's like, it's her, guys. It's Luffy's mom. We're finally there. You know, most recently we had that with Bello Betty. I say most recently, but I think that was like maybe 400 chapters ago, which is almost 10 years, right? That's a long time. But it was Bello Betty. That was the last great candidate. Actually, no, Ginny was, believe it or not, back when we got the Kuma flashback. I don't think it was popular, but some people did think that Ginny was Luffy's mom. Obviously, it's Bonnie's mom, but at the time, we were kind of unsure if Oda was going to do like a flipperoo. Like, oh my god, Ginny eats a lot of food. It's actually Luffy's mom, and we're just all like blindsided by the Kuma Bonnie flashback. But yeah, like I said, this happens all the time. Bello Betty, Ginny, just any woman in One Piece, it's like, wait a minute, is that her? So right here, we can look at the results. 34% of 4,000 votes say that this is her. It's finally her. Whereas 66% say no, we still have not met her yet. Hey, you guys, I'm currently editing this video, and I completely forgot to mention who I think Luffy's mom is. So I don't think we've met her yet, but I do reference back to chapter 1057, where Oda was doing the Uta special cover page stories, where it's like Uta's journey with music and how she came to fall in love with music in the first place. And in that final cover page, we actually see a panel of a random woman, not Uta, because Uta does not have that hairstyle, and she's holding this black-haired baby, or assumably black-haired baby, right? So I think that's Luffy. It kind of has Luffy features. And in the background, it looks like she is singing at some sort of tavern, which could be Makino's bar. So that is who I think Luffy's mom is. Just an unnamed woman for now. I think we will meet her when we get the dragon flashback. But yeah, that's where I'm putting my money as of today. Some people are saying that's Uta being sung to, but Uta we see in the very next panel, and she has like that dual split hair, so I don't think it's Uta. And like I said, I don't think that's Uta singing either. So I think that is supposed to be the first glimpse at Luffy's mom. And I think that would make sense given the context of why Oda drew this in the first place. It is film red promo. Oda just loves selling these extra editions. This right here is extra content that most manga readers just do not have in general. And of course, to sell these, they're like, hey, like here's little snippets of Luffy's mom. You know, that's how they get you. Kind of like how in Volume 4 Billion, another edition that was released alongside this, it's like, oh, by the way, Shanks can cancel observation hockey. We've never seen that. We've never seen that, but it was dropped in one of these. And then, of course, for Film Red, that is when we learned that Shanks was actually a celestial dragon. They just dropped all that information there. So Luffy's mom being teased in Film Red promo, I just think makes a lot of sense from a marketing perspective. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. I just wanted to toss it in there because I don't think I talk about it in this video. So here you go. So I do like to go through the top comments and just see what people are saying. So yeah, let's do that right now. Top comment with 71 upvotes says, with how Oda has been, I think if we see Luffy's mom, he would just write Luffy's mom in the box. You're not wrong. He actually did that with Garp and Roger in this chapter. Like, oh, here's Garp, hero of the Marines, Luffy's grandfather. And then they did that with Gold Roger as well, right? And then we had the Blackbeard and Rocksteady Syvduck. So yeah, I definitely think we will get the box that says Luffy's future mom or something of the sort. So yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. This one says, the earliest we've seen Luffy was 6 years old when Shanks arrived at Fuchsia Village. Tritoma died 13 years ago when Luffy was 6 years old. Is that true? Wait a minute. Do we have like a timeline on Tritoma? I didn't think we had that timeline. It says, after Shaki abandoned her position as Empress and left Amazon Lily, Tritoma became the new Empress. When Gloriosa returned to the island with the Gorgon sisters who had been freed from slavery, Tritoma pardoned her for her crimes and allowed her to live on the island once again. 13 years ago, she died from lovesickness and was succeeded by the Empress Boa Hancock. Wait a minute. I did not know that. Okay, I apologize. In the last video where I read through the comment section, I was like, oh, I don't think the timelines match up. Like, it doesn't make too much sense. 13 years ago, that's so interesting. Yeah, you're right. That is when the story started with Luffy. Huh. I'm trying to think. Okay. If Tritoma did have Luffy until he was 6, until she died of lovesickness, does that mean that Luffy was with his mom on this island? Or does that mean that Luffy was at Amazon Lily with his mom? And I don't want to be that guy, but it would be kind of sad if she had Luffy and she still died due to lovesickness. Like, oh, I have my son from me and my dream guy, but I'd rather have the dream guy, so I guess I'll just die now. Like, I don't know. I think this is a really good point. I have not heard this yet. Damn, I really wish I had this in the last video. See, this would have changed my opinion a little bit too. I still don't believe it per se, but I think this does really boost it in my mind. Because I am pretty, even though I say no, I am open to this idea. I do not hate the idea of Tritoma being Luffy's mom. So yeah, with this, I feel a little bit better about it. Okay. Luffy's mother is Dadan, and she is a ridiculous character. Well, you could argue Dadan is Luffy's found mother, but not like the actual biological mother, right? It's like, oh, it's like whenever I talk about Bonnie's dad, it's like, hey guys, we're gonna meet Bonnie's dad whenever we go up to the Holy Land or whenever we see the God Knights. And then somebody's like, wait, Sai, Kuma is Bonnie's dad. It's like, okay, guys, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. This one says, it's actually quite clear that she is not Luffy's mom. If she were, it would create a rather disturbing backstory, especially considering what we know about lovesickness that affects the women of Amazon Lily. To survive the illness, the Empress must either venture out to sea in search of her beloved or actually be with the person she's fallen for. If she had fallen in love with Dragon, it paints him in a very questionable light. Either he rejected her and she continued to pine for him until the sickness claimed her life, or he reciprocated her feelings temporarily, perhaps even fathered a child with her only to leave her behind. That would suggest he abandoned her, knowing full well that the love sickness could kill her, which would make him appear cruel or at least indifferent. Moreover, we've only seen female children being born to those on Amazon Lily. There hasn't been a single confirmed male born there, making it highly unlikely that Luffy was born on the island or to a woman from there. Yes, that is a good point. I kind of forgot about this right here, but yes, only women have been born to Amazon Lilians. You know, you could say that Luffy's the special one, you know, he's the special child that was born to him, but we'll see, right? And I do agree with this right here. I think this is where I'm hung up on, you know, when talking about the whole love sickness thing. It's like, yeah, like, what are we saying about Dragon too? Like, he just said, hey, peace out, deuces, you know, like, I'm not even gonna send a postcard, which I get it, right? Being a revolutionary, you can't exactly go places. But Amazon Lily is kind of sealed off from the public eye, right? That is where they hid Luffy during the time skip. The Marines did not go close to Amazon Lily. So it's like, damn, like, you know, I think Amazon Lily is like the best place to have a love interest, the best place to have a kid, because nobody would search there, man. Nobody would search. This one says, Luffy's mom is a certain member from Cross Guild. Okay. I know you're joking. I know you're joking. We're just moving on. We're just moving on. I wish it could have been her, but it said she stayed on the island when she got the sickness, and because of that, she was not chasing the man she loved and died. And besides, everyone would have noticed that she gave birth to a man. Even if Dragon appeared and took the child away to protect him, Kuja has always said to give birth to female regardless of anything, yet if there was a Ganondorf situation, then it would have been so great. Alas, I thought the same thing about Gloria's and Whitebeard's supposed theory ship until I learned that Gloriosa loved Roger, yeah? Yes, there is no other reason why Kuma would have sent Luffy to Amazon Lily. Ooh, that's a good point. Funny enough, I remember this being a big thing a while back. I forgot when. This isn't the first time I read this line. Somebody else commented this like a long time ago, or they mentioned this in like a video, and I was like, huh, yeah, why did Kuma send Luffy to Amazon Lily? Because everybody else makes sense, but Luffy to Amazon Lily. Yeah, I don't think a reason was ever given. Okay, there's replies to this. There's a lot of replies. So I'm going to look through this one. They go on. They say, the Empress before Boa, Tritoma, died of love sickness, and that makes sense. She couldn't pursue her love since Dragon works in the shadows. You basically cannot locate him. Okay, reply time. On top of that, other evidence I've seen with the love as a hurricane and all Kujas getting love sickness from men in the East, this literally makes the most sense. All the Kuja love men from the East. Roger, yes. Is Rayleigh from the East Blue? One Piece Rayleigh. I guess I never really looked at Rayleigh's hometown. Oh my god, I typed in Shaki. I typed in Rayleigh and autocorrected to Shaki. Okay, Rayleigh Wiki. Let's see here. Okay, so for Rayleigh, it doesn't say where he was born. Yeah. Funny enough, in Vivre cards, sometimes Oda will drop where people were born, but it looks like he has not done that for Rayleigh yet. Granted, though, we could assume that Rayleigh was born in the East Blue because he's like one of Roger's first crewmates, and Roger was born in the East Blue. So yeah, there is, you know, a reason to believe this at least. Okay. Why did Oda reveal her in an SBS? That'd be so disappointing. Oh, that is true. Yeah. Imagine Luffy's mom starting off in an SBS. You're not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Oda say that Luffy's mom is still alive? If not, I think your theory is credible. I don't think Oda said that Luffy's mom was alive. You know, I'm not like 100% sure. I remember doing research on this like 2 years ago when I was going through like mom candidates, but I don't think he verbatim said that Luffy's mom is alive. Pretty sure having his child would fill the void of love, no? That's what I thought too, right? Imagine giving birth to, you know, the dream kid and still dying due to love sickness. That'd be kind of crazy. Oda revealed the second part of Zoro's backstory in an SBS. That is also true. But to be fair, for Zoro, Oda said that the reason he did that is because he didn't think he would actually tackle that in the story. At first, Oda only revealed the potential Ushimaru connection And then later on, Oda said, well, didn't happen, here you go. And that's how we got Zoro's backstory in SBS. So there was some like logic behind this right here. It could also be love sickness from not being able to see Luffy. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic love. He's not allowed an Amazon Lily, and she was Empress. She didn't want to abandon her home like Shaki did. Which would be kind of crazy. Like, we know firsthand that if you stay on Amazon Lily, and if you are lovesick, then you just die. So if she chose to stay here and leave her son behind and not pursue her guy, it's like, damn, dude. She's just making bad decisions. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm very torn on this one. I still don't think it's her, but overall, I don't think it's a bad candidate, right? Think back to all of the Luffy mom candidates out there. You gotta admit, this is the best one so far. One more. What does this one say? It just doesn't make much sense for her to be Luffy's mom. She wouldn't have died from love sickness if she were with Dragon and had Luffy, unless she moved back to the island, or if Dragon took Luffy, but I highly doubt that's the case. Oh yeah, that's another one. I've seen people saying this, like, oh, Dragon kidnapped Luffy. It's like, damn, dude, that's... Hey, that's crazy, man. If Dragon just stole Luffy... Okay, so, the next poll I held was in regards to... Boom, boom, boom! The Golden Trio. What do we call these guys? Like the old generation legends? Or just legends? I don't know. But, of course, I said now that we got a Roger chapter, and I should put Garp here too, but now that we got Roger and Garp, who is your personal favorite from the old generation? And I always have to say this, but there is no right answer. Despite what people might tell you, there is no right answer when it comes to your opinion on how you feel about characters. You could love Marines, and you like Garp more than everybody else. You could just love a dirty pirate, so you like Rocks. You could love Ace 2.0, Ace's father, the Pirate King, and you like Roger more. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people, I'm explaining like basic human thoughts now. Some people like strong characters. Some people don't care about strength. Some people like winners. Some people like losers. That's just how it goes, man. Everybody likes a different color at the end of the day. You can't change that. So, of course, I put Roger here at the top. Then we got Rocks and then Garp. And I'm surprised. I am very shocked not to see that Rocks is winning, but to see that Garp beat Roger. I didn't think so. It's funny because I thought Roger would be like a close second to Roxy Zabek, but he isn't. Rox is winning this poll by 50%. Then Garp comes in at second place at 27%. And then Roger is, like I said, surprisingly in last place, coming in at 24%. I have been seeing people saying that this chapter sullied Roger more than helped him, which I'm pretty iffy on. I feel like this kind of falls in line with what we expect from Roger. As far as my opinion goes, I'm not gonna lie, I am a Marine guy, so I do like Garp a lot. I think Garp is my favorite. Just, dude, the appearance, the color, his attacks, like, oh man, I love Garp. I am a Garp fanboy. People, when they talk about Garp, they're like, oh, but Marine Ford, he let Ace die. And it's like, well, I just see him as a human, right? Humans, flawed, regrets, all that heavy stuff. I like Garp. Second place, I would put Rocks. But it's tough. When it comes to my enjoyment of Rocks, it isn't necessarily because of Roxy Zabek himself. I like his dialogue, don't get me wrong. Appearance-wise, I'm like kind of iffy on, like, I just only see Blackbeard when I look at him. But for me at least, what I like most about Rocks is his crew, right? When I think about Rocks' gang, that's where I'm just drooling, dude, foaming out the mouth like a rabid dog. I'm like, dude, Big Mom, Strusin, Wang Ji, Barbell, Silverax, Shiki, Whitebeard, that's where I'm like going, dude. Holy crap. And then last place for me, it would be Roger. He's just like too much of a cookie cutter character right now. I want like a hard decision from Roger. I want something, stressful from this guy. And the thing is, like, yeah, strength feats I think will always be there for all three of these dudes. But what I want from Roger is just a little bit more personality. And not like the goofy personality we got this chapter. I just want something, something heavy from him. I saw a comment that said, oh, Sai's going to change his opinion when we get a Roger chapter. Sai's going to change his opinion again soon, guys. Soon the list is going to be Roger, Rox, and then Garp last place. But here's the thing. There is nothing wrong with that. Don't let people fool you into thinking that changing your opinion is a bad thing when you get new information. Imagine that, guys. You get new information, and that changes your perception on events or characters. It happens. Like, that is just how it is. So yes, going down to the comments, I just want to see what people are saying about this. Garp is just oh, dude, there we go. Yes. I'm surprised. I thought we were going to get a Rox comment. Garp is just my man. Rox is cool, but he has an army of super soldiers. Garp has 2 hands, and he marched on. Okay, I will admit, if Garp had super soldiers, that would be even cooler. Let's not underestimate the super soldiers, brother. I would love it. Dude, if Garp had an army of vice admirals under his command, ooh, that would be so fire. Like imagine like Red King, Prime Bluegrass, you got a young Doberman. Oh, dude, young vice admirals current day. Oh, dude. Yeah. Garp would buy, like, I wouldn't even talk about Rox or Roger at that point. Yeah, Garp, I'm just slobbering in that knob, dude. Holy crap. But yeah, A1. For Edgelord, I award Rox. For Goonery, I award Roger. That's crazy, dude. But above all, the award for pure love of the game, the true hockey man holding nothing but pure fists of love, Garp. Yeah, look at that. Garp is taken. I'm surprised Garp is getting a lot of fans down here. It's Garp. He looks so much cooler than the other two. I agree. Design-wise, I think there's something about like the cape and the colors that just really do it for me, dude. And the black hair, I don't know. The spikes, come on, man. He looks like he kicks a mean ball. It's gotta be, what? Okay, wait, is this spotted? Did I bot these comments? It's gotta be Garp. For better or worse, he's soloed, just straight hands and standing on business for better or worse. Oh yeah, by the way, I was gonna mention this. Garp has Bogard. And while we're talking about super soldiers and how I want Garp to have heavy hitters, I'm not gonna lie. Bogard, memes aside, right? People love joking about Bogard. I don't like Bogard, man. Bogard for me brings like a -1 vibe to Garp's whole thing. I do not like Bogard whatsoever. He just feels like a character that lives in limbo. I do not know how to feel about him, so he's in the negative category for me. Prime Garp outboxes everyone. Boxes, maybe, yeah. Maybe. Roger and Gabon, being simps is a Sanji upscale. Garp outlived them. I'm sure when we get the God Valley flashback, we'll see Roger doing some crazy stuff, yeah? Like I said, I think we will get insane Roger feats. I think what we'll get from Roger is going to be like a whole new pinnacle of power. Like, we're going to look at Roger in his prime, doing his final attack, and we're going to say, yeah, that's like top 1 or 2 of the verse right there. And I say 2 because of Joy Boy and Emu, right? But yeah, I think Roger's strength-wise will be absolutely monstrous. But at the end of the day, is strength what you base your favorite characters on? That does boil back to that question right there. Rox, absolute monster with no cares given unless it involves his goal. And what I like about Rox, I will say this. I talked about this before, but I do like that he has a soft spot for Herald. Right? He's not an actual monster, right? He's a monster with a soft spot. I still like Roger the most. That is fair. Roger the Pirate King, giving us the iconic he laughed. Garp is an absolute unit. Rox, the Zebek. Rox, Garp, Roger. Sorry, Roger Simps. He just kind of sucks ass. It was so rude not to put Shaki on the poll, but then again, she would have won by a landslide. Oh, I was going to do that next. If I didn't have so many polls already to go through, that was going to be a poll. Shaki, Boa, Tritoma, feels weird because Tritoma's still a kid right now, but I guess I'll put like adult Tritoma there. And Gloriosa. Who's your favorite Amazon woman? Actual pirate, slaver, and simp. Good old Cannon Hands, the godfather of Get These Hands. The hook throwing hero. That's crazy. The hook throwing hero. The fist fighting fiend. The admiral of ass kicking. Garp. I love that. Dude, the propaganda is going hard for Garp. Yeah, okay. It feels like I'm making these comments on my own at this point. But yeah, I love Garp, dude. Garp is just too good. And I don't believe in the Luffy tax, by the way, when it comes to like how much I like these characters. Like when I look at Garp, yes, Luffy's grandpa, but I think he's just got so much. And I think that might be why Garp has a 27% over Roger. Or well, he's 27% and he's over Roger. I worded that a little bit weird. But that's just because like screen time, right? Garp has way more screen time than Roger, if we had to like put him panel to panel. So now, this is about the Elbaf legendary devil fruit. What is it? Is it the sun god Nika fruit? Is it a devil fruit we've seen before? Like maybe the Ope Ope no Mi, the Yami Yami, the Gura Gura, or something else entirely. This option got 10% of the votes. And now, for the last option, is it just a brand new devil fruit? And that actually took the top spot with 59% of the votes. So when talking about the legendary devil fruit, it's always tough because we don't know where it's at today. We do not know. You know, some people are saying Loki ate it. Some people are saying that whoever went into the treasure room still has it. Some people are saying Blackbeard currently has it. We do not know. And as far as Loki eating it, right? That is what we heard of. The Giants of Elbaf told us that Loki ate the fruit earlier. But they also told us that Loki was crazy and killed his dad. Which we know that's not the truth. We know that's not the truth. So that is why that has to be brought into question. And that is why there's so much mystery around this. And of course, like I said, the person who showed up to the treasury room to see that legendary devil fruit, that was not Loki. So if he did eat it, he'd have to kill him afterwards. Or Loki was right behind him. So there is a lot of mystery here. So now, let's just kind of browse the comments and see what people are saying. They're saying, it's a new mythical Zoan Loki's about to cook. I like that. You know, we are in mythical Zoan Piece right now, but I enjoy it, man. I think mythical Zoans are freaking epic. I mean, hell, we don't even know what they are entirely. They're more like yokai demon contracts, but even the Gorsei, you know, as poor as they performed on Egghead Island, they were really cool. I do love those designs. I love the powers, and I'm expecting to see a lot more when they show back up again. But yeah, Mythical Zoans, I think they definitely steal the show in a way. The Chop Chop fruit. Dude, if it's the Chop Chop fruit, that'd be crazy. If it's the Chop Chop fruit, or if it's like any devil fruit we've seen before, I think that they would have to get like a crazy buff. Like my good friend Parvision, he thinks that it was the Mera Mera no Mi. And it's like, okay, that's, you know, fair guess, you know, fair theory, but I hope it does more than what Ace used it for. I think that's kind of where I end up. All signs point to Loki having it, considering how he is locked up to rocks. Oh, sorry. How he looked up to rocks. Okay. Yeah, so maybe Loki heard that Roxy Syvduck wanted it, and then that is why he ate it the day his dad died. Okay. I think there's an off chance that the Gura Gura no Mi was one of the fruits Rox considered essential for his plan. With or without his captain's permission, Whitebeard might have eaten it while with the Rox pirates, and it would explain why Blackbeard made sure to pick it specifically up as his second devil fruit. Yes, I've heard this being a good reason as to why, you know, Blackbeard has that fruit. It's because that is one of the ones required for toppling the WG. And it's not bad. I don't think it's exactly bad. I think my main thing would just be, why was that in Elbaf? You know, because the Yami Yami no Mi, that was acquired by Thatch. And I doubt Thatch was the one who had anything to do with the King Herald assassination in Elbaf. So we're saying that the Gura Gura was in that throne room, or in the treasury, I'm sorry. And I just don't know how I feel about that yet. Because that would mean that Whitebeard would have to go in there and take it, or Rox took it. So I'm not too sure. But I definitely do think this whole thing is really interesting. And one thing about Blackbeard that we still do not know of yet, we don't know the explanation, but Blackbeard's flag has 3 skulls. And for the longest time, ever since he ate Whitebeard's fruit, a lot of people are saying, or have been saying, that Blackbeard will get a third devil fruit. So Whitebeard could have just been an easy +1. Whitebeard's fruit could have nothing to do with the prophecy, or, well, not even prophecy, but Rox's plan, and instead, it was just like, oh, it's a strong paramecia, I'm taking this while I can. So I could see that. It's the mythical giant zone model Surtur, the fire giant, that brought the end to Asgard in Marvel. That's why Rox needed King Harold to eat it, so the full power can be used. Only by a giant can use the power, because Surtur was a fire giant. It's like the Nika finding someone with the Will of Joy Boy. It makes sense. Yeah, I like that. You know, it's funny enough, going back to the beginning of Elbaf, Surtur was one of the main options for Loki's Devil Fruit. So, yeah, I'm glad people are carrying the Will of Fire to this very day. Wow, that's cheesy. I feel like it's either a new fruit or Loki just ate something else. With the context, maybe it was the second fruit Rox needed. All we know is even though the timelines match up pretty good for Luffy's fruit, Loki is begging to be taken out of the sea stone cuffs on his leg, so I feel like he definitely has something to show for it. One thing that I found pretty cool is that in this latest chapter, Loki was drowning as a kid. And it's like, wait a minute, can Loki not swim, or does he already have a different devil fruit? I wonder. I did think that was really odd, you know, going through the chapter again. So now, as far as Loki wanting to be taken out of the sea stone cuffs, I don't necessarily think that's just because he has a devil fruit. I don't think that has to be the case, because if you look at Loki chained up right now, latest chapter, or last chapter where we saw him, it's not just his leg that's chained. It's his arm too, and he's chained to the tree. So it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, you know, it might just be a slight inconvenience. It's like, no. He's still like, you know, his arm and leg are still chained up. Zoro kind of thirsts for a loop because he said, hey, like, let's leave one of the chains on. They didn't do that. They left multiple chains on this guy. So yeah, I don't think he has to have a devil fruit necessarily because of that. I think he just is still just unable to leave the proximity of the base of the tree. This one says, yummy, yummy. I say it's the God of Destruction version of the Nika fruit. Vegapunk said, whatever people dream of can emerge in the form of devil fruit. Hito model Nika looks awfully similar to the Yami Yami no Mi. Might be because they represent two sides of the same coin. The two beliefs behind the Nika mythos. God of Liberation and God of Destruction. Yes. Back to the Surtur theory. This guy's carrying on the Will of Fire. We saw this theory pop up at the beginning of Elbaf. I like it. I personally like it. I don't think it would be the Yami Yami though. And the reason I say that... Okay, that's tough. If it's the Yami Yami, I think where I get hung up at is how does the Yami Yami, if that is Elbaf's legendary devil fruit, how does it end up in Thatch's possession years down the road? Like, that right there just feels a little bit off. Okay, do we have a timeline on when Thatch died? Was it 13 years ago, 14 years ago? Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's like an actual timeline. I do not see an actual timeline as to when Thatch died and when Blackbeard ate it. But yeah, like, how did Thatch get this devil fruit? Was he here in Elbaf? Did he attack a world government ship like Shanks? Did he fight a Holy Knight for it? I think that's kind of where I'm hung up on, but I do agree. I do think there will be like a God of Destruction Nika devil fruit. I think that'd be really cool. And even in the kids' nightmares, right? When the kids are like spawning all of Killingham's monsters, we did get like an evil Nika. So that could just be a teaser, right? That could just be a teaser. So now on to the next poll. What did I put down here? Do you want think Luffy will die by the end of the series? Tough one, huh? It's a really dicey one. Yes. 33% of people voted that he will die, whereas 67% say that nope, he will still be alive in the final chapter. Personally, I'm so mixed on this one. I actually don't have a real opinion. I think it'd be cool if Luffy died, but I think it'd be nice if Luffy just sailed off into the sunset and that's the end of it, right? Because I can already see that, like, oh, there's Luffy going off into the sunset on an infinite adventure or the next horizon, and then that's it. Like, Luffy dying, I think that would work for a lot of stories, but for One Piece, it's just hard to envision. Like, if Luffy dies, I think it would have to be via a crazy time skip. Like, oh, you know, here's 20 years into the future, Luffy got sick and he died. Or, ooh, a villain came over and he killed Luffy. You know, I feel like if he were to die, it wouldn't be right after finding the One Piece. But now I'm just fence sitting. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I'm going to vote no. Yeah, I think I'll vote no. But the thing about yes, though, is that I think there have been a lot of instances that point towards Luffy dying. Like, for example, obviously, Rob Lucci did not know what was happening with Luffy's Devil Fruit, but when he saw Gear Second, he was like, oh, you're expending your lifespan in exchange for power, right? Back when Lucci dropped that line, if I were to hold this pole, I feel like it would be flipped. You know, going back to Enies Lobby, I feel like this pole would be completely flipped. Everybody would be saying, yep, yeah, I see Luffy dying. Yeah, he's going to have to use Gear Second, Gear Third, Gear Fourth, and he's going to just drain all of his life force. But because nobody's ever mentioned that ever again since Enies Lobby, it feels like one of those forgotten concepts. Another instance of Luffy potentially dying would be with Ivankov. During Marineford and even Impel Down, Ivankov used his growth hormones to boost Luffy up and to, you know, give him energy again, to bring him back to life in a way. And Ivankov was like, hey, this is gonna take off years of your life, Luffy. Do you want to do this? And Luffy said, yes, please, you know. If I don't save Ace now, then I'll want to die anyways. And Luffy took that twice. Luffy took it twice. So, you know, Luffy dying, I do not think is absurd. But if Luffy did die, I think he could get brought back to life via Ope Ope no Mi. I don't think that's out of the question, right? They have been teasing Law's immortality surgery. Maybe Luffy gets it. Like, hey, Luffy, without you, I would have never gotten revenge on Doflamingo. You know, that was my life's goal. And now you're going to fight Emu. Here, let me give you my lifespan. Because you're a great guy. Maybe something like that could happen, but yeah. I still vote no, though. I think I'll go with no. I think we will just get a happy ending. You know, sailing off into the sunset. And plus, you know, Toei wants that, dude. Toei wants that right there, man. They want to keep the door open for Two Piece. You know, they want to keep the door open for a One Piece movie. They want to keep the door open for just One Piece spin-offs, yeah. They're going to be begging Oda, please let Luffy live. Please, Oda. We need more money. So, going down the cuffs, my voice is giving out. How long have we been going, actually? Let me see. Okay, we've been going for like just 40 minutes. Well, a little bit under 40. Yeah, we'll just finish this poll, and then I'll do the other polls later. There should be a break week. If there is, we'll go through the rest. If not, I'll push this back a little bit, because it's a lot, dude. It's a lot. So my comment, I wanted to chime in here. I said, imagine Luffy falls down the stairs, and that's that. That'd be crazy. But it's a great joke, you know. Kuina, it happened, so maybe it happens to Luffy too. Probably gonna get the same sickness as Roger, but Chopper is gonna cure it to finally cure disease in the series. I like this. You know, Chopper wants to cure all diseases. You know, he's waving the pirate flag to just say F you, illness. So I think it would be nice if Chopper ran into Roger's incurable illness and he cures it. I think this would be a major Chopper W. There's a lot of hints in the story of Luffy shortening his lifespan through both his powers and ordeals he's gone through, like Magellan's poisoning, healing process with Ivankov. It's entirely possible Oda will let Luffy die with a smile at the end of the series once he's achieved his dream of being Pirate King. But I also feel like Oda wouldn't kill Luffy off at the end of the story unless he wanted the series to end on a bittersweet note. Honestly, I could see Luffy's story ending either way. That's where I'm at. And I like this right here. Luffy dying with a smile like all the other D-Clan members. I think that's good. Yeah. Luffy dies, but he's smiling in the end. Like the Pirate King. That could be another way Luffy dies, right? Not even like an illness, but maybe Luffy wants to start the next great era. And then Luffy gives the speech that Gold Roger gave. Like, hey, I left all my treasure at the Bean Sprout. And then everybody's like, whoa, we got to go to the Bean Sprout now. Let's go, guys. Come on. Hooray. I think he dies or vanishes and becomes something almost mythical in the end. Oh, vanishes. Funny enough, that would be kind of cool. Imagine we get the final chapter of One Piece, and it's like, hey, where's Luffy? I don't know. Where's the Pirate King? I don't know. Where did Luffy go? And then we could go into Two Piece, where Luffy's in space. Like how Enel went to space and to Fairy Verth, and that was really just the moon. Maybe Luffy does that. He's like, hey, I claimed all the treasure on the 7 seas. Now it's time to go to space. Because there are space pirates, and we don't know what the hell is up there. For all we know, there could be treasure up on, Earth 32B, or, Universe 87G, which I think would be too crazy, but still, that's a possibility. I think vanishing would be kind of sick. Like, we end One Piece, but on a giant cliffhanger. Ooh, that would be great for, I think a lot of fans, though, right? I think a lot of fans would love it if Oda teased an OVA, or if he teased a spin-off or a sequel or something. I don't know. Which, I guess next poll I'll drop. Like, how would you guys feel about Two Piece after One Piece? Do you want One Piece to end definitely? Or do you want there to be, like, a door that's open that we could always go through whenever, Oda feels like it? Or whenever Oda's editors feel like it? Gotta follow the money. Having the occasional post-OP movie makes his death really unlikely. But I'd respect the hell out of Oda if he did this. I don't think a single Straw Hat is dying. I could see somebody dying by, like, the very end, but yeah, I don't think they're dying on the journey, though. Doesn't Luffy still have his lifespan reduced from Ivankov's treatment, and using all forms of gears puts a toll on his body, right? Yeah, this last part, like, I think it's true, but, I mean, Rob Lucci said it, so I don't know. Should we take Rob Lucci at face value? But to be fair, Luffy didn't dispute it. Luffy didn't really say anything. He was just like, because he was like mid-battle. This one says, most likely after he saves the world from the CDs and Blackbeard, everybody's fought that has seen the gears have told him that his lifespan would decrease, and Ivankov told him the same thing about injection shots, which Luffy told him to do, so he could quickly get the energy to attempt to save Ace. He'll probably die, but he'll succeed where Joy Boy and Roger failed. Oda stated that One Piece is meant to be an average boy's ideal adventure, so I seriously doubt Luffy will die at the end of the series more than what he already has. I have it on 50-50. Can go either way, it depends on what Oda wants in the end, yeah. It does look like everybody's on the 50-50 route, more so than not. I was afraid to put maybe here. I feel like if I put maybe, just like me, there's going to be a lot of fence sitters, because I'm on the fence still. Like, I think he could die. He doesn't have to die. I think One Piece has set itself up for both endings, but my voice is going out, and also it's 6:33 a.m. So I'm tired, guys. I'll be back later. We'll do more polls, of course. The polls aren't going anywhere, guys. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts down below on what you thought about all of our discussions. Let me know. I'm excited to see the comments section. I need to get a life. It's bad. I'm at work, and then I just stop, and I'm like, hey, I gotta go use the bathroom. And then what I really do is I open YouTube and I look at the comments. It's awful. Well, I am the boss. Joke's on you guys. Yeah, nobody can fire me. I am that guy. So anyways, catch y'all later. Thanks for stopping by, and have a great rest of your day, brother.